Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, so we're here. We're ready for tonight. It's going to be an exciting night. I got some insight I want to share with you guys. We won't be here very long. We are talking about influence, the power of influence, and oh, it says we're having trouble streaming to LinkedIn. This may be an issue on LinkedIn's end. We'll let you know. Okay, LinkedIn. I hope you guys are on. I hope you guys are either on Instagram or YouTube in order to catch this live. My poor LinkedIn friends looks like they're gonna miss out. But anyway, I'm gonna try one thing to see if I can't help them. It puts a little exclamation point up there and see if we can't. Okay, save changes. Hold on, guys. We're gonna try to help LinkedIn out here, and then we're just gonna keep it moving. How is everybody today? If you are here live with me, can you check in just with your name, maybe where you're from, and advise me a little time. I just took a picture of an issue there with LinkedIn. All right, let's get IG back up here. We got a couple folks watching. Okay, so if you're on LinkedIn, you may not be here for the live goodness. You may have to catch this on the replay, but it's all good. Thank you guys so much for joining. If you are not familiar, hey, Tabitha, thanks for joining. And you are from Chicago, my hometown. That's where we know each other from. I hope all is well with you and your family. If you guys aren't familiar, I'm going to do a quick intro. I am Delilah Bartlett. I am a leader and a coach. I do that in many different spaces. I am in the top 1% of my organization. I've been there almost 25 years. I'm excited about that. We're actually going to talk a little bit about that. And I'll use that as an example in our chat today. I also own and operate a personal growth and career development coaching business. And so, what that means is that I help people get clear on their purpose and pivot their potential so that they can increase their brand and their bank account. I'm also a leader. I do an online ministry, Delilah's Downloads. And so I'm like everywhere just trying to help people be the best version of themselves, because I believe that in order for us to really create the communities and nations and the world that we want, it starts with us, and it's capable, it's possible with us. And so that's why I do what I do. I'm here to help. I'm here to provide value. I'm here to give you tips and tools. I'm here to share with you. I'm here to share. Thank you so much for the congratulations. I'm here to share with you things that I've experienced, things that I've learned. I've spent hours and hours in training classes and courses. I've spent hours on books. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars in training. Our organization has invested similar in me. Like, I am loaded with information, insight, and experience that could potentially help accelerate the things that you were trying to do in your life. And so that's why I do what I do. That's what I do. Tonight is the second event that we're having for November. If you are not familiar, follow me on social media, Delilah's Downloads on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. YouTube is really where you want to subscribe, because you'll get the indications that I'm going live, the notifications there. I also publish a monthly newsletter. So if you're not on that, DelilahBartlett.com is where you want to go to the home page and subscribe to the newsletter so you can stay in the know. You can get the additional nuggets that I share there. How do we get there? Yeah. Oh, 2 events. This month we had 2 events that were scheduled. I call these dinner and downloads. If you're familiar with the frame of a lunch and learn, where someone comes and shares specific information for you as a growth opportunity. I do that, but just at night. And so I've coined it Dinner and Download, of course, because of Delilah's Downloads, and it's nighttime, so we talk dinner. Today is the second event of November, and we are talking about how to protect your authenticity. With everything that goes on in the world, there's so much information and influence. Everywhere we go, we see a voice or an opinion that has the opportunity to impact who we are or at least impact how we show up. I don't want to necessarily say who we are, but then the modifications we take on in order to um, show up differently. I actually poured me a cup of coffee because I wanted it to do a couple things. One, I was a little chilly. It's Texas. It's like 50 something degrees. That's the whole thing. And two, I know the coffee, if I brought the coffee and took sips of the coffee, this is a tip for you. It would help me pause and not go as quickly or talk as quickly in our conversation. So with that, so tonight we are talking about, hey, what do you need to know about the difference between adapting, adopting, and assimilating? And so when this topic came into my mind, like, hey, this will be helpful for people to know, because there's so many great and valuable people out there, and the currency of who you are is a value, and I call, and I'm thinking about it right now as a currency. The currency of who you are is extremely rare and valuable. And so what you don't want to do is water that down. There will be some changes or things that you have to do, or you even want to do, but it's very, very key that you do not water that down. You do not lose who you are. You do not stop being authentically you. And as you develop, just like with anything, if you think about plants, if you think about trees, as things develop, they may change a bit, but they stay from the root in who they are. And so we're going to talk about that tonight. So make sure you got your best favorite writing utensil handy and available, because you're going to want to take notes. If you've ever been around, you already know. And if you're new, welcome. But here's what you need to know. This is an engaging opportunity. This is not just Delilah saying some great stuff and you're like, oh, that was great, and that resonated with me. No, I'm investing my time so that you have tips that can help your life. And you're not going to remember everything that I say that sounds like a good nugget. You're going to think you're going to want to come back and actually revisit the video, but you'll become distracted and you won't. So here's where you actually take notes of the things that you're like, aha, that can work in my life, and so I want to utilize it. So hopefully by me taking time to go through the description of or the explanation of why you want to write it down, there was enough time for you to get your favorite writing utensils so that you can take what people would call copious notes. And so, yeah, we're going to talk about adapting, adopting, and assimilating. And so, three things that you really need to be clear on in order to have a good foundation when you get into the world, to not start to morph into other people. Those three things: being clear on your values, being clear on your purpose, and being clear on your brand. Being solid on those three things will really, really help you position yourself well to continue to stay authentic. I think I titled this how to stay authentic. Those three things will help you stay authentic. I'll come back to that on how you can do those things after we walk through how the things you want to be on the lookout for while you're out here in the world listening to people on social media, while you're reading books, while you're looking at mentors, while you're in the workspace, while you're walking around your community. We're all exposed to different people. And if we're not careful, I'm really, really not necessarily concerned, but this was top of mind, because if we start to all show up like one another, then we lose value, because true people, real perspectives, real insights aren't showing up because we've become other people. And so here's what that looks like. I want to give a couple definitions. And so when I talk about, and I've taken them with the phone, when I talk about adapting, adopting, and assimilating, I want to give you some definition. So adapting, one definition says to make fit often by modification. But one of the things I really picked up on this definition was to make fit. When I think about adapting, here's what I think. You make room. You make room. And so for me, adapting is, and we're talking from a perspective of influence, right? How to protect our authenticity from the influence of the world, or how to manage the influence while protecting our authenticity. That may sound better. That actually may be a better description. Adapting. The first level is adapting. And so adapting is something that honestly we're all going to do. And so we make room. That to me means that if there's some maybe somebody with a different type of perspective, there may be somebody with a different type of thinking, clothing, they just may be different. And then instead of me being standoffish and not accepting of their difference, I make room. I make room. I adapt and make room for their uniqueness, their authenticity, how they think, how they manage, how they operate in life. I adapt and I make room. So for me, adapting is making room. One of the ways, and I said I was gonna talk a little bit about my 25th year with my organization, and so let me kind of weave that in here. So I am rocking this fabulous, fabulous, fabulous color block jumpsuit. You'll see it's a little royal or cobalt blue and black. It's absolutely darling. I wore it today intentionally. I was attending an event on behalf of my organization, who I absolutely admire and love. Um, and I wore this intentionally. I showed up in the brand, sporting the brand of my organization. And so, if I were to use that as an example, when I think about adapt is, I have my own personal brand. I have my own personal brand as a business. My brand colors, you guys are probably familiar, are yellow, purple, and gray. And so, adapting would be maybe somebody else, not necessarily me, would show up with the blue, right? And I'd be like, oh, that's fine, you can come in and wear the blue. I'm okay with people who wear blue. I'm okay with listening from people. Okay with listening to people. Gosh, where'd that preposition go? To people, to people who wear blue, right? Adapting, making room. The second thing you want to be conscious that you do sometimes is you adopt. And a healthy level of adoption is okay as well. Healthy levels of adoption is okay as well. Adoption, there's a definition of adoption that says to take up or practice or use. My definition of adoption is simply to take on. So adoption looks like you find somebody, you're a speaker, and you find somebody that speaks with a certain structure. You like elements of it. Instead of you changing your whole setup, you may adopt some of the things that they say. Going back to my fabulous block blue and black jumpsuit. Going back to that, adoption may look like, hey, I would typically wear my own brand colors, but I've adopted, and you guys saw that in my post. I'm like, this is adoption. But I've adopted my organization's brand colors, and I will periodically use them. Um, I'm okay with it. I've done more than make room, right? That's adapting. Adapting is I make space when people of influence, different influencers are coming around. I make space for their thoughts and perspectives. The brand color, I made space for that. Adoption says, I'm going to take a little bit of that on. I'm going to do a little bit of that. You'll see that as you think about your career, as I'm thinking about your career and your career growth, as you're exposed to different elements or parts of the organization, different skill sets, different functions of the organization, people. There'll be language that you'll adopt, you'll take on, right? There may even be some behaviors. There may be some behaviors that you adopt, you'll take on. One of the things I remember going through an executive presence coaching session, and they talked about dinosaur arms and how when you speak, like, don't keep your arms so close, don't have dinosaur, but use longer arms, be forward projection in your, and so that is something that I've adopted, right? I've adopted. I've taken that on. That's part of the thing that I do. I'm actually going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So when you're out here and people are talking, my point is really don't lose yourself in everything that's going on. You'll have a level of adaptation. You'll just create space for the new thought, the new behavior. You're really not doing anything with it. It doesn't become a part of your behaviors or language. Or you'll go through the next level, which may be adoption. Hey, you're still doing your thing. You're true to your thing. Remember, I said values, purpose, brand will help anchor you in what is your thing and help you understand that. But when you get to adoption, you may take on bits and pieces of other people while still being true to who you are and not foregoing that. But that brings me to the third item, assimilation. So I want to read you the definition that I took out When I say dictionary, please automatically assume, unless I say otherwise, I'm talking Merriam-Webster. I have a thing with Merriam-Webster. Like, that is my favorite dictionary source. You might have wanted to know that, so I just shared it with you. So assimilate says to be taken in or absorbed. To be taken in or absorbed. I like to say to become. My definition of assimilate is to become. So before we go into assimilate, I do want to kind of go back and talk about adapt was to make room. So make room for somebody else in their thoughts, perspectives, behaviors. Adopt is to take on. So you may take on some of their behaviors or language or whatever it may be. Assimilate is to just totally be absorbed. I say to become that source of influence, and that, my friends, is where it gets really, really dangerous for us all, because that, my friends, is where we really lose you as a valuable, remember I said you were currency, as a valuable currency with different unique perspective of who you are. And so when you assimilate, if I go back to, of course, the very, very lovely example I was using about my beautiful color block jumper. If I go back to that, you remember we talked about how I had my own brand colors, but I made room for the person who was wearing the blue, that being adapting, and then we talked about adopting being, hey, I'm comfortable. I know my brand colors, but every now and again, I'm going to adopt. I'm going to take on this other influence, and I'm going to wear that occasionally. Assimilate. When we get to assimilate, I abandon, right? I'm going to abandon my colors, my purple, yellow, and gray, and all I'm going to wear is the blue, right? You become that you become the source of the influence. You lose, how maybe your voice, your language, you lose some of your experiences because you're now a mirror of something else. You've become it. And that is the warning, my friend. If you are here and you are listening, your key takeaway is be cautious of assimilating. And this is, these terms, these words can be used to describe other behaviors and other spheres, but I am specifically talking about when it comes to your ability to be influenced by other people. And when I say that, it's from the perspective of desiring to have the true you, your unique experiences, education, behaviors that are always being created and shifted into the next better version of themselves, while staying true to the authenticity of who you are at your core. And so I wanted to come share those three things: what it looks like to adopt, what it looks like to adapt, what it looks like to assimilate, so you don't lose yourself, because you don't have to lose yourself. And everything that you are endeavoring to do, all the millions of dollars that you're going to make, all the thousands and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people you're going to influence, all the great ideas that you'll create and businesses you will build, you can do it as you. You can do it as you. And we will all lose, my friend, if you do not stay true to who you are. So I started this by saying, in order to not be mirrored and assimilate and become something or someone else, right? That you need to be clear on your values, you need to be clear on your purpose, and you need to be clear on your brand. Those three things will keep you anchored strong enough that when additional good information comes that you want to adopt, you can do that and still remain true to your core. I'll tell you, I've been under some great leaders, corporately, out here in the speaking and coaching environment, culturally, within my community. I have been exposed to some great leaders, and there are pieces of them that I have I've taken on, right? Adopting. Again, I'm sitting here in a blue jumpsuit because my organization primary brand color is blue. I've taken it on. Some of the language I use today, I've taken it on through experience from being under another leader. But it's very important to me, and it's very important to you, that Delilah shows up in her full authenticity of who she is, what she's learned, where she came from, her family of origin, the language she used, how she connects, all of that. It's important to you that I show up like that, because if not, then the value, the currency of who I am is then somehow diminished, because there may be a similar version to me out there, because I've adapted or I've assimilated to someone else. Is this making sense to you guys? If you're here and you're following, are you thumbs up? Are you hearts? Where are you? Is it helpful? I should have actually asked, how helpful is it? Because it's helpful, because these are things that we're not thinking of. These are things that a lot of us aren't thinking of, as we're on social media and we're just being bombarded with all the information and the videos, and we're like, oh, I should do that. Oh, I should do that. And every little bit, if we're not careful and grounded, we're shifting and becoming, and yeah, we're shifting, we're taking on, and we're becoming. And so, going back to your values, your purpose, and your brand, if you are not totally clear, if you've not had an opportunity to do a values intensive exercise, or you need help on getting clear on your purpose because you've not gone through a purpose planning exercise and or course, and in your brand you're not really sure kind of the brand elements that you have, characteristics, attributes of who you are, guess who can help you? Guess who can help you? Again, as you guys know, I'm out here working hard as a coach, helping people get clear on these things that are core to who they are, so that they can go out here and really dominate in the spheres of influence, or the spheres that they have been called to. And so you want to just continue to rock with me. A great way to do that is subscribe to the YouTube channel, YouTube at Delilah's Downloads. I talked about the newsletter. Go to DelilahBarlett.com, sign up there. I also have some very, very good, I'm still doing one-on-one coaching. I honestly, at the end of this year, I'm doing things that are so powerful for my brand, and the signature programs and services that I have for you, that I'm kind of revamping, that I'm hesitating to say it. That's why I'm saying all these words. I'm not taking new clients through the end of the year. But I will still be doing work. I still will be putting content out. But very, very shortly, I am going to be launching a series of services and programs for you that will absolutely help you get clear on your values, get clear on your purpose, and get clear on your brand. Now, if you were to reach out to me and say, Delilah, I can't wait till the next year, I got to get with you now, I would at least reconsider, but I can't make a promise. And so Delilah's Downloads at gmail.com, if that's you and you're like, yeah, I understand that you're making things greater, but I need help now. I need help now. Email me and we can go from there. Email me and we can go from there. But hey, be you, be authentically you, be big hair, blonde hair, gray glasses, blue jumpsuit, Astros nails, you. Be using the word dope in corporate America while you're in the top 1% of the organization. Be you. Be unshackled and unashamed of who you are, and bring your full perspective into the room, right? Bring your full perspective into the room. Use the language. I mean, communication, of course, effective communication means that somebody's walking away with understanding of what you're sharing. So you can't just show up and just be doing all kind of crazy stuff, but be you. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I have to temper that way. Maybe I pull back on that, but be authentically you. Be authentically you. But that's what I had to share. Thank you guys so much for joining. We're a little bit over 20 minutes. Wanted to keep it under 30, so we hit the mark. I don't see any questions. I see some hearts, so I'm assuming, by those hearts, I'm going to high five and say, hey, this resonated with you. It made sense. And that these are some thoughts at minimum that you can put in your head and put some guardrails and boundaries around how much you shift, change, take on, or even become in order to fit in. Watch that, because we need you. The world needs you. The world needs you. All right. So I've given you everything I had. You know all the information. You know where to find me. You know how to get up with me. You know how to reach out and say, "Hey, I get what you're trying to do, but ma'am, I can use your help right now." Yeah. But until then, I will talk to you guys later. Just like you guys, I work a job. Most of you, some of you are some very, very savvy business owners. But as you all do, I do something else, and it's been a busy, busy day. So I need to go and engage with my family. And so I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. I am taking the phone. I have to give me one of those little stands because IG, I need to start giving IG more love. But until then, I'll talk to you guys later. Be on the lookout for December's calendar of events. Just like for October, I send it out in advance. November, I send it out in advance. When I will be going live for dinner and downloads, what topics I would be covering. And so you want to make sure you're putting these on your calendar so you're not like, oh, she's live. No, no, no. On Friday, on Tuesday, she's going to be live at 7. Put it in my calendar because I need to know about my influence. I need to know about my purpose. I need to dive in more about my brand, about leadership language. Make sure you're doing that. All right. Talk to you soon. Take care. Till then.